They'll blanket you in Wi-Fi and profit off the radiation. Congregation collecting the people for that Satan. I keeps it blazing, cause I can read between the lines. I ain't blind, we unwind what they're really saying. Genetically modify what you're tasting. Don't need that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Program to crave the basics. Keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid. You're in debt for being born. Messengers are mourn, just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome to Sunday night's edition of Rogue Ways. We were going to have a very special guest tonight, and they had to cancel at the very last minute, and so I am just going to come hang out with you guys for a little bit. We can do a symbol shot, a tarot card, and a little Rumi poem of the day like we sometimes do, and just get some wisdom for that. But welcome to spring, everybody. It is now finally spring. We're bringing back all that flourishing energy. The sun is just now returning fully. It's going to get longer and longer days from here on out, longer than the night, all the way up into the summer solstice, at which point we will do another one day of brightness event somewhere near the summer solstice. And if you didn't know, we just had the one day of brightness event yesterday. All day long, we had the best, most amazing, healing, rejuvenating, refreshing, deeper connection, learning, just amazing day. It's so beautiful. And I said, you know, if you weren't there, you have no idea what you missed. And if you were there, there's no way you can tell anybody how awesome it was. It's really like beyond words. You just have to be there to experience it. So if you went to the previous one day of brightness, then you have an idea. So I see Gordon out here in the chat, and Gordon was at the previous. He has an idea. But if you can believe it, Gordon, or anybody who was at the previous one and not at this one, I think this one somehow surpassed it. Like it was just even better. Maybe it's because it's more recent in my mind. I don't know, but it's just pretty amazing. They're all going to be very unique, I think, anyways, but just incredible. People got so many, connections and deeper into themselves, their psyches, their soul, and really just felt that. And, whenever you do that, and especially when you do it in a group of people who have this like trust and this intention to make it powerful for everybody and to be present together, it just like magnifies it so much. And so it really is everyone involved making this such a beautiful event. So, people are like thanking me for doing it, and I'm thanking them for coming, because it's just as powerful, for me to be a part of it and facilitate it. And I'm just very grateful that I get to do that type of work. It's an honor and a pleasure. And, we had some really deep meditations. We had some really cool sound bath sort of activities. We had, Catherine O'Shea always bringing us even deeper, getting us connected to our source messages and our animal spirit guides. And, another thing that happens when you do these sorts of things is you're working on this spiritual, psycho-emotional level. And a lot of healing happens, whether you were ready for it or not, whether you were asking for it or not, it's gonna happen when you go into that space. Whatever needs healing is gonna come up to be healed. And so a lot of people had this profound healing sort of triggered in them, and that can get kind of emotional. And so it's a beautiful space with which to do some of that healing. And if you've ever been to ceremony, sweat lodge, medicine journeys with people or anything like that, the kind of vibe that I'm talking about, and that sort of healing that can happen. And it's just really beautiful to be a part of. And then we also got to have Emily Atwood come and share some further connection with our other guides that were not animal guides, which was really cool too. So it's like a double dose of guides and messages in that way. And the synchronicities just were amazing. The things that came up in our original meditation and sound bath came up in the animal ceremony and guides, and came up again in our, other guides, non-animal, and just repeating sort of patterns over and over again. Super, like you couldn't plan it if you tried, right? Like we say all the time. We would not have been able to plan that if we tried. And then finally, we ended the day with some dive into the deep ancient movement arts of martial arts. And we got to bring it all back to the physical after a day of just like spiritual, heady, emotional work. We got to really center that back in our body and bring it back home and learn some really beautiful movements that can help, in so many ways, again, with our like mental, our emotional, and obviously our physical bodies. Super cool day. Really grateful for everyone that participated. And, we all have been talking since then, and just, you're like exhausted afterwards, but in the best possible way. We've been like refreshed and renewed, but it's like when you go to get like a really deep massage, or some really intense, like, and like chiropractor and whatever. And like afterwards you feel so good, it was really necessary and good, but you're also like, man, I'm ready for a nap. So we all slept very well, and deeply, and, felt that, really like bone deep, healing and, renewal was super powerful. So just wanted to brag a little bit to all of you who are wondering if you should come next time. The answer is yes, you should, if it calls you. If you feel like that is the type of day that you might need every once in a while, it's really nice. Just like check in, reset your intentions, re-empower your manifestation, and, move forward in that renewed energy. It's a beautiful thing. So very grateful, super happy of the people who came and participated with that. And again, watch out for the next time. We're going to do it again around the summer solstice. We're going to basically do it every equinox and solstice, if for as long as we can, manage to pull that off. And so watch for the next one. It'll be just as powerful, or more so, I'm sure. So I'll say what's up to Just 10 catching the live show. That's right. Happy Sunday. Awkwardly Awesome's in the house. Nice to see you, Annette. Good to see you here. Logan's here. Vanguard of Truth. Israel Adams. What's up, guys? Yeah. Yeah, the knee gong was really nice at the end there. That's that physical, the 5 animal frolics is what we practiced together from one of our master teachers, Alan, who's sometimes here in the chat as well. Super cool guy. So again, that was just it's really nice for me, for everybody who's involved. We're in the spring now. Like, we welcomed it. We set our intentions. We grew our seeds into our beautiful future that we're creating for ourselves, and super nice. So, but like I said, we were going to have a guest tonight, and we don't have that guest. Oh, that was right. Yeah. And so, wow, I did this show totally different than I normally do, but it's working, so that's good. Yeah, that works. So I'm just going to remind you of a few places to connect more deeply, and then we'll do a tarot card, a Rumi poem, a symbol, and we'll just see what comes forward for us. It'll be exciting. So as always, rogueways.org/CoreySharman.com. Same site, 2 different URLs. You can come here and catch all kinds of good stuff: poetry, articles, event notifications, etc. If you scroll down to the bottom of the first page. Oh, that's why. Hold up. Let me just... because I was already in Zoom and ready. Oh no. Well, you're not going to see my face for the rest of the episode. That's just the way it is. Anyway, I was going to say, if you scroll down to the bottom here, you can type in your email address and hit subscribe, and it'll just notify you every time I have a post. So if you want to stay posted on posts, but also events and things like that, special offers and everything, that would be the place to do it. You can, of course, buy my books from Amazon, and those are all linked here right now. There are 4 books. Earth, A Trough in Time, and Sine Curve of Anns are the fictional novels, 2 of the trilogy. The 3rd is in the works. And I also have A Gypsy on the Res, which is the time I spent on a Native American reservation as a teacher in a public school. Pretty funny, pretty irreverent, pretty touching. And of course, my poetry book, Mutable Realia. Some of my older poetry, you can find some newer stuff on the site, but that is available there. I do tarot readings. I love doing tarot readings. I am honored to be able to connect deeply with our messages. of various types from various aspects of self, from various guides, and bring those to people so you can read a little bit more about my tarot philosophy and practice here. And you can also grab a session through some directions on this page or through the shop if you like to do it in the more, I guess, traditional route of purchasing. I also do what I call spiritual guidance. It can look a million different ways. It's intended for people who are experiencing weird spiritual things that they don't quite know how to sort of understand it or deal with it or move forward from it. That kind of stuff we can talk about. I have all kinds of things that I help people deal with. You know, people come to me when they're in sort of like being attacked and in sort of crisis. And I also have people who, you know, just had really beautiful and profound experiences, but want to know like how they can like help that integrate more into their life and practice. You know, and just people who want to just talk about all the various different ways of being in the world and how that looks. And sometimes we use tarot in this and sometimes we don't. I always go into ceremony for people doing a guidance session. And I kind of do for tarot readings. It's just a bit different. With a guidance session, I really go deeper into intentional ceremony. And so when I do that, I am interacting with your highest self and your guides. And we are working, and sometimes really deep and profound healing can come from that. And always there have been some pretty powerful messages at the least. So again, it looks very different for each person. It's really about what you're experiencing and what your goals are. But no matter what, if you're seeking, we can find you some conclusion. And of course, you can go to the shop, and there's all kinds of stuff here. I have books, again, that I wrote, but these ones come straight from me and therefore have an inscription to you and a really special message that's just for you. So if you buy them from here instead of Amazon, that's what you get, and you also save money doing it. And I also have one of my pieces of artwork here that you can buy. I haven't yet put any of my others up, but they're going to come someday. So that books and art are available for you. I do sell you know, these little ceremonial pieces, and basically they're things that you can either carry with you as ceremony, or they are something you can open and use the contents for ceremony. So we can also talk more about that one-on-one, what a ceremony might look like. But some people want to do a ceremony and they kind of like have an idea of how, and they just need some of the sacred and blessed substances to do so. And so that's the purpose of some of these. So if that calls to you, come grab one. Try to make them very affordable. I also do sell crystal and stone jewelry that is also blessed. I do blessings, spiritual blessings, but I also infuse some of these pieces with them. Some of these have already been sold and aren't even here anymore, but some of them still are there for you if you would like one. More are always coming in and out of stock, so you just want to check back sometimes and see if any of them call to you. And of course, all the tarot I do is here in the shop if you didn't want to set it up in the alternate way. I do a ton of classes, so many classes. I do psycho-spiritual protection for people who know that they kind of are dealing with some of these icky entities and want to learn how to very simply keep them from harming them or coming back. I do renewal and protection meditations. I will teach you many meditations that you can use yourself for eternity. I do that as a group class. I do teach tarot. If you're interested in starting tarot and you would like some one-on-one work with that, I do that. And I also do a group course if you have many people who want to learn something about tarot. I do guided ceremony and finding your spiritual allies. If you don't already know who they are, then you can come find out. And those are the classes that I do. And I finally make and sell orgone pieces. Every piece of orgone is 4 layers deep of the organic and inorganic. They all have different crystals and metals and intentions and parts, so you can click on any of them and read a little bit more about them and see which one calls to you, and grab yourself a little pendant. They're nice because you get to carry them around with you wherever you go. But I also have some plaques that you can display as art. Some people put it in their garden, some people on their wall, all kinds of different things. So that's the stuff, guys. There's a lot of it. I'm going to say what's up to some more people who have come to the chat. I think I already said hi to most of you guys. What's up, RL Gill? What's up, Trappaskunk? Yeah, oodles and oodles of bundles. I also really, really hope that people head over to rockfin.com/rogueways. You know, if anything were to ever happen to the YouTube channel, then this would be the place to be. Rockfin lets me live stream and post anything I want without censorship, so it's really, really great backup. You can go become a subscriber for free, and there also is paid content there, but the cool thing is once you pay, you get all the people that you love who are on Rockfin. You pay one thing and you get everybody there. So it's really, really nice for you. I do live stream there every Thursday now instead of on YouTube. And I am focusing on a lot of the practical spiritual stuff, how to, you know, and all of the goodies. And so it's nice because we do a couple practices together, or at least one per episode. We have some guests sharing their spiritual insight and teachings. And it's just a really awesome show. You know, I really, I get sick of the, I get sick of the, I was trying to see if my video would come back on. I get sick of the saccharine bullshit of the new age. You know, it's so funny because I do talk about a lot of this stuff and I practice a lot of this stuff. And so I get these advertisements on Facebook that I'm like, this is exactly why I'm doing Middle Path, is because advertisements like this are directed at people like me. You know, it's like, oh, you're a weird new age person. Here's a bunch of like crappy crystals that some asshole like put together in a bag and like pretended like and like mass produced, and then look, we threw like the Om symbol on this shitty bag that was made in China, and now you can buy it and pretend to be spiritual, and like, you know, or like, oh look, here's this full-bodied cape with a hood because you must want to dress like that if you're into spiritual stuff. And like, it's just shit like that. That's exactly what made me want to start the Middle Path, because I really, really hate how shallow and stupid a lot of the new age supposed spirituality is. It's just really disappointing. So the whole point of Middle Path is to bring that back to earth and to be in the middle of, you know, we know we're spiritual beings. We're here for a purpose, but we don't have to dress in capes and hoods in order to do it. I mean, if we want to, rad. I have no problem with capes and hoods. I'm just saying, like, we don't have to fit a certain mold to do it. We can do it exactly as we are, where we are, being who we are. So that's the Middle Path. Hopefully you go over to Rockfin, again, at the very least, just to be there and subscribe, so that if this ever disappeared here, you would have it already hooked up so you could stay connected. And at the best, to come hang out with us on Thursdays when we do Middle Path over there as a live stream. So hopefully see you there. Finally, we are... Oh, that's why I should have left the Zoom open, because in a second we're not going to be looking at sites anymore. Anyways, I'll pull it back up. But we are over here on Locals, rogue.locals.com. The link is below you in the chat. And, or sorry, in the, below the, you know what I'm saying, under the video, dudes. And I had too much coffee is basically what's going on here. But... Oh, so rogue.locals.com is where the community's at. This is where we can all get together and chat and share posts and whatever. Again, Facebook, you can do that, but you have no idea on Facebook if anybody's even seeing your posts, and I hate that. You know the feeling when you post something and you're like, what? Nobody's like commenting on this or reacting to this? No, that's not it. It's that they're not showing anybody that. And if they are, they're showing like the few people they know for sure won't be like swayed by your opinion, you know, like they're keeping us in our little bubbles, and I freaking hate it. I hate the censorship there. So I really am happy with rogue.locals.com. We don't have, all our posts are in order of being posted. All the comments are in order of being commented. We see every post. We see every comment. Every single person who posts there and comments there can be heard, and no censorship is there. I actually just had a talk with one of their, you know, like higher up administrator people. We got to have a little chat the other day, and I asked them straight up, like, are you ever, you know, planning on allowing censorship for alternative ideas? And they said no. They were like, with basically like porn and like violent actual violent fomentation would be taken down, and that's it. And I was like, that is perfect. Thank you. So like, I'm just very happy with their commitment to not censor, and hopefully you come join us there. It's $2 a month is all it is. You get to post and comment all you want, interact with myself and the whole community, and you know, that's a small price to pay for that level of freedom. So let me very strangely open a Zoom window so you can see me again, since my camera is not going to turn on. There you go. There we go. I'm back. So that's the stuff. I'll say what's up to the chat again. Soundwave Promotions is in the house. Oh, pointing out what I've been talking about already, that the One Day of Brightness, you missed out if you weren't there. Gordon Hamill already said hello to you. What's up, Courtney? Nice to see you. So amazing, so special. It's true, it's true. You really, like, we can say it all we want, but until you come and experience it, you just won't understand what we mean. It's so beautiful. So good. I'm so lucky. Yeah, there's so many people who don't see our posts on Facebook. What is the name of the goddess holding the picture? Oh, that is Guan Yin or Kuan Yin. She's called both. And here, we'll look at a little bit of her. Guan Yin. She what? I hate this shit. Guan Yin. She's just a goddess, you know, from the East, especially in Buddhism. She's the goddess of mercy and compassion. She's often carrying that picture as a sort of symbol of like all of the emotional, endless love she has to pour out and nourish everybody with. She's kind of like a mother goddess figure. She's, you know, she's called the goddess of compassion and mercy because she basically is said to hear every single cry of dismay or pain in the entire world. And she's committed to helping people until there is no more suffering left. So she's a very compassionate Buddha. But yeah, it's that mothering feeling, like it says here. She's like a mother that feels for her child, fiercely loving and protective. You know, which this person is pointing out is much stronger than just the idea of compassion, but it's basically like the ultimate epitome of compassion. So that's Guan Yin. She's a badass, definitely a good ally to have. So yeah, Guan Yin came up a lot yesterday. Athena is a different goddess, but you know, there's a lot of similarities between a lot of these goddesses, but I would say, I don't know, like the Venus of Willendorf, I would think is pretty similar to Guan Yin. Trying to think, there's another that feels similar to me, but I'm sure some other people have some ideas about that. But yeah, that's Guan Yin. Good question. What's up, Lori Wentz? Nice to see you here. So yeah, I have my little Guan Yin statue, which was actually gifted to me by Emily Atwood, which was one of our presenters slash teachers slash practitioners yesterday. So I'm lucky. I'm a lucky lady. And Guan Yin was not someone I felt very connected to until pretty recently, this past fall, I would say maybe. And now I feel much more connected to her. And so we're just going to do Tao shot. Let's see which verse we get. Of course it's about planting, because that's been the theme all day yesterday, and you know, it's spring, so this is beautiful. So the verse says, it's the 54th verse of the Tao, and it says, whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Generations honor generations endlessly. Cultivated in the self, virtue is realized. Cultivated in the family, virtue overflows. Cultivated in the community, virtue increases. Cultivated in the state, virtue abounds. We aren't quite at the state level. Hopefully we can get there. The Tao is everywhere. It has become everything. To truly see it as it is. In a person, see it as a person. In a family, see it as a family. In a country, see it as a country. In the world, see it as the world. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. That's pretty profoundly perfect for right now. And the other companion verse that goes along with it. I am like a great wave of energy that illuminates a room. Everyone sees the light and becomes affected. So it's really bringing it back to that Rogue Ways truth that whatever you want to see in the world, you need to see in yourself first. And whatever you want to do in the world, you have to do in yourself first. And whatever you want to be in the world, you have to be it in yourself first. You know, it's easy to do. Like we all look out at the world and we're disappointed and we're like, oh God, it's like so bad. And like, what can I do? Or like, what? I can't do anything. It's the whole world. It's too big or it's whatever. But it's like, you have to just do it in yourself. It's the only thing you can do. Right. And it serves some sort of purpose, right? To look out, to see, to reflect, to be able to describe it, to talk to people about it. Like, it's not like that's pointless. But if you're in that place where you're just like complaining about it and bitching about it and you're like, oh God, all these fucking people are so stupid. I do it. I totally do it. I'm not condemning anyone. I'm just admitting that like that is pointless. It doesn't serve any purpose at all except to like make me feel negative and hopeless and bring me down, which is not helpful, right? So it's always coming back to that truth that like, all right, so you look out at the world and you're like, well, no one's seeing the truth and no one's doing it. We have to all do this. Well, like, then go do that. If you don't, then you should probably shut up. You have to do it or you need to shut up. It's the only thing you control is yourself, right? And so it's really saying like, look at yourself, see it in yourself, create it in yourself. And then you don't have to worry about other people doing it or not doing it. You're automatically inviting them to do it by being it. They look at you and they're like, oh, wait, I kind of like that vibe. What's that person all about over there? Like, I want to do that. That's cool. You create it in yourself. It's not just that you're like creating that for yourself. It's that you're creating it for the whole world. And that's literally actually true. And that's literally actually how you create change. So the Tao really is everywhere, and primarily the place where you can encounter it best is within yourself. Beautiful verse, but again, whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Very spring. Plant yourself in the source. Can't be rooted up from there. It doesn't matter what other people are doing from there. Only matters what you're doing. That's awesome. Talking about some of the guides we met yesterday for some people. Oh, hey, Lily. Sorry your phone will die soon. Onion Head Media planted today. So many people are planting and sprouting and growing right now. It's really beautiful. The Witness to God is our Rumi poem of the day. See how it relates or doesn't. God hath not created in the earth or in the lofty heaven anything more occult than the spirit of man. It's already pretty similar. He hath revealed the mystery of all things, moist and dry, but he hath sealed the mystery of the spirit. It is of the word of my Lord. Since the august eye of the witness beheld that spirit, naught remains hidden from him. God is named the just, and the witness belongs to him. The just witness is the eye of the beloved. The object of God's regard in both worlds is the pure heart. The king's gaze is fixed upon the favorite. The mystery of his amorous play with his favorite was the origin of all the veils which he hath made. Hence our loving Lord said to the prophet on the night of the ascension, "But for thee I would not have created the heavens." This is a much more complex way of saying that same truth. Whatsoever you do in yourself is done in all of the world. Like God created you, just specifically you, and as soon as you are there with yourself, knowing that truth, then that is all that exists in the whole world, right? Anything that you are doing inside of you, you're doing to the world, you're doing in heaven. Like this is the whole purpose of existence. That's beautiful. I love Rumi. And it's also that idea of like planting, right? That we were talking about this a lot yesterday too, and really putting our energy into this is like, you can't just like change yourself in a moment. You're not just like, okay, I'm this now. This is what I want to see in the world, so here I am doing it. It's a process, right? And so right now is a really important time of the year for planting those seeds that are going to later in the year bring us abundance and bring us what we want, right? So you are doing that also within yourself. So it's a good time to get these messages that we just got from these two totally different books at random, supposedly at random. The life doesn't actually work like that. Is to start doing this within ourselves, right? What are you lamenting about the world? We'll change that within yourself, right? What are you hoping to see more of in your life? We'll start right now by planting the seed that will eventually sprout and grow into that abundance for yourself. Everybody has the power to change themselves. It's a process. You got to plant the seeds now. Spring solstice, man, it's the time. What's up, Snake Jones? Nice to see you. Yeah, Lori's planting in the AM. Plant your real seeds, your physical seeds that are going to grow into physical plants, but also plant your internal seeds for what you want to see in yourself this year. So it's a great, great time. Some people look at this as the beginning of the year, so start your stuff off right. Yeah. I love those moments when I'm not in judgment. Same here, Lily. Heaven is the page I opened to. God created heaven just for us, right? We are a product of heaven. Heaven. Here is Luke Benoit's version of a passage about heaven taken from the Chandogya Upanishad. Oh, it's the Vedic texts. Very ancient. So here's a translation of one of those passages. In the beginning, all the universe was non-being. It became being. It grew and formed an egg. Okay. Which remained unbroken for a year. Then it broke open. Of the two halves of the shell, one was of silver and the other of gold. Kind of like this silver and gold Orin that I'm wearing. The latter was heaven, while the former became earth. In Hindu architecture, these two halves are represented by the altar and the stupa. One can clearly see in all this how the myth arose from converging formal analogies. Heaven has always been considered, except in Egypt, as a part of the masculine or active principle, associated with things of the spirit and with the number 3, whereas the earth is related to the feminine, passive or material principle and the number 4. Mircea Eliade has something to say about the symbolism of heaven, which is rather less abstract and therefore fails to be so cosmogonic. It's not cosmogenic, it's cosmogonic. Cosmogonic. Now I have to look up this word. By the way, we're suddenly doing a dictionary of symbols, which is our symbol book that we sometimes use on Rogue. But let me look up this word. Cosmogonic. Oh, cosmogony. Okay, cosmogonic. So of the composition of the universe and how the universe came together and like what it's composed of. Not the beginning of the cosmos, which would be cosmogenic. The azure of the sky, he suggests, is the veil which hides the divine face. The clouds are his garments. The light of heaven is the ointment with which he anoints his immense body. The stars are his eyes. Again, among Oriental peoples, the dome of heaven is associated with the nomad's tent, quite apart from the usual heaven-earth association, as if they had a presentiment that three-dimensional space is only a kind of lid which prevents man from penetrating into the mystery of the other world. Can we say flat earth? Can we say dome? Celestial space then ceases to be a container and becomes content of hyperspace, or rather of transspace. A terrible aspect of heaven can be seen in the myth of the cosmic catastrophe, which William Blake appears to have had in mind when he wrote of the angry religion of the stars. We must also remember that from the earliest times, heaven has been thought of as consisting of several heavens, owing to the tendency of primitive logic to assign a separate cellular space to each celestial body or group of bodies, a tendency which anticipates the theory of gravitation, the gravitational field, and the laws of organic structure, and which illuminates the very essence of the relationship between the qualitative and the quantitative. Wow. Sorry, my eye itches. Several heavens. Interesting. I think like a lot of times, and we'll talk about how this connects to our other passages, but a lot of times I think about the flat earth idea and like the dome earth thing as much less a description of the physical world and much more this type of symbolism, right? Where it's just describing that that we are sort of like separated from the purely spiritual by some sort of a veil or a separator, right? And that we're just slightly in a separate world, but it's like just over there, and that is visualized very well with that sort of dome and flat earth depiction, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually physically what's going on. So I'm not one of the people who's like, I know for sure what the earth shape is, because I don't pretend to know that, but I do wonder about those types of things, like how much of this, that we see this in many different cultures of that, we've all seen those pictures, right, with like the dome and the flat and the dome and the flat, and that's like everybody has this conception, and oftentimes the underworld as well, kind of like this egg shape, but how much of that is just symbolism, right? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm just going to point out that that is a very possible reality. What is up, Rock Johnson? Bross is in the house. Yeah, the dark winter is over. We did bright winter, and now we're doing brighter spring. It is a brighter spring. Snake Jones is cute. He can't help it. That's just who he is. An Orin. Yeah. You shouldn't be surprised that I'm wearing an Orin. I have this exact same symbol tattooed on my body so that I never forget the profound teachings of the Neverending Story. I'm going to have to do an episode on the book, The Neverending Story, at some point, just like I did 1984 in A Brave New World. So that's coming. Just be ready. But back to our symbol of heaven. So remember, this is a book of symbols. So it's not even telling you anything about heaven. It's telling you about the symbology of heaven, right? What does heaven represent? And it's pointing out that heaven is that side of ourselves that is not physical, right? Or the side of the world that is not physical, and the side of the world that is hyper masculine, as in very quick moving and fast and airy and interestingly masculine. Some people would associate that with feminine, right? But that like very quick, instantaneous like communication or instantaneous creation or whatever, like that's the masculine-ish sort of energy that would be associated with heaven. And I like to, well, that's interesting too. The earth is silver and heaven is gold. You know, we're always talking about like alchemy and like we're turning whatever base metals into gold, and man was made of iron and earth or whatever physically, but we're like ascending to our spiritual halves, which would be the gold in us, right? Very ancient symbolism. Anyway, so yeah, so, you know, we're talking about growing, planting ourselves so that we can grow, and especially so that when whatever we're growing in ourselves is going to then be reflected in our families around us, right? And then we went to our communities, which we saw yesterday in the One Day of Brightness, is like the best way to maximize your growth is to get together with a group of people and like work with each other's energies all at once, like supercharged, like high-speed train to the best healing you can get. So, you know, you bring that out into your community, you share it with people, it like grows even more. You should bring it out even further. And if we're very, very lucky, we create our like state, you know, this is just the way the Tao is saying it. We can call it whatever we want, but our larger community, you know, on the state level, the national level, or beyond. But if we don't have those seeds planted within ourselves and water them and give them fertile soil and really grow what we want to see in the world, we're not going to ever see that anywhere else. We're not going to see it in our family. We're not going to see it in our friend group. We're not going to see it in our community. We're not going to see it in the larger world stage. So it's a pretty profound truth from a tiny little Tao verse. And then we had that same message from Rumi, right? Heaven is literally made of us, and we were made for heaven. And these are, again, just like an even further extension. Like, if you're going to talk about then what does your spiritual world look like? Well, it's going to look like whatever is inside of you. You start there, and then it goes out from there. So it's a reflection of you. And, that's why some of that language was like, oh, who does God or who does the king like best? Well, he likes best the person who's reflecting heaven at him. And that makes sense, right? You are heaven, and you're looking at the person creating you, like you like best the person who created you as heaven, right? Or as like heavenly as possible. So it makes sense. It just makes sense. You know, plant it in yourself, you grow it out, friend group, family group, community, world level, and then heaven level. That's some shit. That's some real shit. And then we got the symbolism of heaven here, right? Again, talking about how this is our, it's like feels separate from us. We represent it symbolically as separate from us, even at the same time as giving it like human characteristics. And even at the same time as recognizing that we actually can reach that place. We like think of it as way over there. I think that's just that truth, right? That you do have to start inside and grow it out. And by the time you grow it out far enough, fast enough, like, wide enough, big enough, bright enough, then you can see it up in heaven too. Closing the book on that one. And let's get one little tarot card to go along with and or add or deepen these messages we're getting about planting within ourselves something that's good, true, and beautiful, and growing it so that we can see more of it in the world and around us and even in heaven. The seeds. We had a lot of seeds yesterday. Came like very synchronistically over and over. It makes sense. It's all in our minds. It's like spring, but it's just amazing how many times it came up without any sort of, collaboration between myself or the other leaders of the day. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That's right. My mouth shall speak the truth. Knows. Yeah, we're like taught these things in many ways, and then we're also directed to kill the light like over and over again. Others will reflect your light. Right. Others will actually reflect anything. They'll reflect your darkness too. Like they'll just reflect. Like you just got to be careful about that shit. What are you going to put out there? It's going to come back to you. Period. They can't do anything but that. This is just a world full of mirrors for you. That's all there is. Nothing but mirrors all the way down, right, Gordon? All right. Interesting. We have the card of justice. Check it out. It has silver for the earth and gold for heaven. So, as combined with our chat that we've been having and the themes that we've been talking about this episode, I definitely see this justice as like a divine balancing, or let's say a cosmogonic balancing, right, of the components of the universe. And exactly what we were just saying, that like the world, your family, your friend group, your community, everything is a reflection of what's inside of you. And so you have to grow inside of you that which you want to see out there. That's these sort of scales in this specific instance of this card appearing for us, right? Is that exact principle that you're gonna get balanced out exactly what you put on the scale. You put this little bubble on the scale, you're going to see a bubble over here too, right? It's going to balance out. It's going to come back at you. It's going to be reflected at you, both in heaven and in earth, right? On your spiritual level and in your more immediate personal level. So that's a pretty interesting correspondence for us to see in the cards from the messages we've been getting. And there's something ultimately like loving and compassionate about this energy, right? That is very fair. Justice is fair. It's very fair that whatever you create is what you will see more of, and whatever you have, planted within yourself and you feed and you water and you give like the best light and love to is going to grow, and you're going to see all around you. That's very fair. It's very loving to see that around us, and to have that be the sort of like law of the universe. If it was any other way, it would be pretty horrible, actually. And I think it's very easy to see it in other ways because we don't always see like the grand picture and how things all came together. But they're always balanced. There's always balance there, and we're very grateful for that eternal balance. So yeah, same message. You got to put out what you want to get back. You got to plant what you want to see grown. You got to get inside what you want to have outside, and nothing but mirrors all the way down. Man, I love tarot. Well, this was fun, especially for an episode that was last minute, unplanned, because our guest fell through having some issues. We send him all the love and hope that he is well, and that his family and community and world and inner soul are well. And it really is a great time of year to take all those messages we just got from all these different sources to heart, and remember that, we do want to create around us the best and highest and most important aspects of our deepest sort of like desire and our highest self's yearning, so that we can flourish, right? And this is the time for planting seeds so that they can flourish. It's a beautiful, beautiful spring equinox. That's right. My mouth shall speak the truth said, don't feed the monsters and they starve. It's exactly right. I had a client recently that has a lot of those, darker entities kind of around and like poking, and we're practicing that exact sentiment, right? They can't be around, first of all, if they have nothing to eat, but also if they have boundaries that they can't cross, which you can set at any time. So, which is just another way of starving them. So you actually have power over that as well. Feel empowered. Know that you are powerful. Kick them out. Starve them. Make them go searching somewhere else, or just get lost. Ace of Wands came up today as well. Ross just said he gets fired up when he pulls the Ace of Wands in a very powerful session today. I love that card. It's actually come up a couple times and they were connected. Imagine that. But yeah. All the way down there are mirrors and fractals, and just so you guys know, I am taking a short retreat from the world soon, so I'll have some pre-recorded episodes. Some of them are already up waiting on YouTube for you, and some will come up tomorrow and the next day. Otherwise, I will see you again live on Tuesday. I hope to do an episode on depopulation. But you know how life goes. If something else comes up in the meantime that I want to talk about, I might do that instead. But either way, I'll see you here on YouTube live at 7 p.m. Mountain as usual. And otherwise, you'll have a few pre-recorded, but some really good episodes. I'm very excited for you to see these. On Rockfan this Thursday, we have a Gnostic prioress, sharing some really fascinating ancient wisdom that is not often able to be shared with people. And so we are so lucky and grateful, and it's going to be so cool. I cannot wait. And then that next Sunday, I've got Jennifer Daniels, Dr. Jennifer Daniels. She super cool, powerful healer, really insightful. She worked in the system, got her medical degree from, I think it was Stanford. But some things that, again, I hadn't really heard from other doctors, even the ones that are sort of getting out of the system and trying to empower people to heal. And so super cool episode there. And Johnny Larson is on also. That's the one that's already up there. Super, super cool, fun conversation. I don't know if you've seen Johnny on the show before, but you're going to love it if you haven't. Genius dude, brilliant art, super funny. Then, we've got all sorts of stuff. My whole entire next month is already booked. We have John Sneeson coming up. I think that's how you say his name. I hope so. We have Micah Dank coming back. We have Ancient Temples and Alignments. Deborah Gets Red Pilled is coming. We have David Stephen returning. Emily Atwood's coming back. Marty Leeds is coming back. He's got some really big news and important things. Jamie Deluxe will be back on. If you know Jamie, go send him some love. He recently got deplatformed, and this is another reason why we go to Rockfin. So if you're not on Rockfin yet, please go and subscribe to both, Jamie, Steve over at Slew Newsday. We've got Charlie, macroaggressions with Charlie Robinson. Who else is over there? I always forget. Isaac Weishaupt is over there. Obviously, Sam Tripoli and Zero, he's over there. There's just so much good stuff over there, and then this is exactly why. YouTube deletes us, so we want places where we can be free and talk about what we want, right? So go support what you love. Go over to Rockfin. Find the people. We have Mark Borax coming up next month. There's a lot of stuff. I'm going to stop reading my schedule to you and just tell you to stick around, and I will see you here. But yeah, don't feed the demiurge. Good point, Ross. Don't feed the demons. Don't feed the monsters. Don't feed the demiurge. Feed yourself. Feed your soul. Look inside. Plant your seeds. It's time for them to come out and grow and flourish. It's spring. We can all grow more now. Set your intentions. Set them at every level. Set intentions for your soul, for your heart, for your mind, and for your body. Make them grow. Give them attention. Practice with them. Visualize them. Give them love. Water them. Give them good soil. Do all of that stuff. You owe it to yourself. You're worth it. And until you plant the most glorious seeds in alignment with heaven and earth in order to grow and flourish out into your friends and your family and your community and the whole entire world, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
Yeah. Around the world, shit. No one even heard of me halfway around the block. I just got an SOS for a photograph of my watch. Most don't know what time it is. I don't know whose mind this is. Snowing in my sinuses. The league is gonna find the kid. Administer punishment. Underwater drumming squids. Fuckers wanna pummel and toss them in the rubble bin. What a dumpster fire. Motherfucking wide. Try diffusing it. If your thoughts are living, grow tired. Spin the venom mouthpiece in your mental housing. Sent to finish bounties on everyone who's doubting. Well, there you have it, folks. There's the first round. Contestants know what they won. This is insanity. God damn it, Chuck. Said tell them what they won. Took a little breather while we took a break. Went to a park and stole a rich kid's cake. Staking marijuana too, bumping some Nevada tunes. Wash it down the clown with some of Svetlana's brew. Who the fuck are you? That's what they keep asking. Kevin Garvey on a beat, international assassin. Smashing like my life's at risk. Caskets for the brightest spit. Rip mics tell arthritis hits. Still might make a life of this. Never will concede my run. Clever with deleted fun. Sever undefeated punk professor of the beaten drum. Well, goddamn, that was embarrassing and hard to listen to.